Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics pre-lockout chat ahead of round 18. I'm your host, Bails. You can find me at Bails DT across the socials. You can obviously see I haven't got a camera set up for people watching along on the stream. I'm actually driving at the moment, so I won't be using a camera, but when Tim gets here, he'll be actually reading me the questions, which will be good. So we'll be able to get all your questions answered. So if you are listening in live, get your questions in, and we'll get to answering those shortly. When Tim jumps on, we'll obviously answer a heap of those. So, get those through there. Obviously, Carnage Week is obviously hitting us. Plenty of bullets flying around. People are going to be playing rookies in the forward line this week with a few outs. So, a lot of drama. Obviously started early in the week with the Heaney suspension, then the appeal that failed, then another appeal that failed. I still think he should have got off. I don't think he should have been suspended for it, but it is what it is. We've got to deal with that. And then you've got a Max Gawn, obviously was out for 2 to 3 weeks with an ankle leg injury. So he obviously is a forced trade for all of us. And then we've also got bloody Sexton this afternoon has been omitted, which I think we all knew was coming, unfortunately. We knew that was going to happen. So, I think that unfortunately he's got to go as well. He's been dropped. So, if people are looking at Sexton and Heaney and who you keep, you're obviously keeping Heaney, who's out for a week, and trading Alex Sexton, I think. So, it does suck, but at the end of the day, we got to do what we got to do, and we got to keep going in fantasy. So, but PowerPoint also just saying, Buzz, your face has changed. Yes, obviously I'm driving, so I cannot use my camera. I was hoping to be. I'm actually house sitting for my sister for a couple of nights. I was hoping to be at hers, but there's lots of traffic, so haven't been able to get there in time. So I've got to use no camera. So very frustrating, but it is what it is, and we got to keep going. So, plenty to discuss this one. Just waiting sort of for Tim to jump on so we can get through the issues of the week. But I think so. I'll start with Gawn first of all. So, everyone looking for a ruck this week, there are plenty of good options. You've got the most expensive of them being a Tristan Cherry, who a lot of people have got at the top. He's probably your safest answer as a guy you're going to go from Gawn if you don't have Cherry, but I think a lot of people have already got him, so they're probably hunting for someone else. So you've got a Nank who's next. I don't mind Nank. He's the only thing I guess that worries me with him is that I think Mitch was mentioning, and obviously he's a Richmond supporter himself, and I guess just the ability potentially injury or just I guess the pod effect could affect you. So I don't mind him. I don't know whereabouts I'd rank him, but I don't mind him as a pick. He's got a decent run for the rest of the year, so I don't hate the idea of going in Nank. I think I prefer the other guys just for a bit of safety after thinking about it over the last few days. Then you got Ryan Marshall, who isn't a bad option. He's definitely someone that you could be looking at there in Marshall. And then you've also got a Tim English, who is a solid option as well. We do have Tim on. Bo's going no camera today. So, Tim, mate, how are you?
Mate, probably lucky for our listeners don't get to see our faces, eh?
Yeah, I know. I was just saying this is bloody traffic, absolute nightmare where I'm trying to bloody just get to sister's house to house. Yeah, but mate, how are you? Obviously, tough week looking like this week. Probably good for you though, because obviously you don't have Gawn, and sort of you might look at this as a week that you might be able to take advantage of that. So, how are you looking ahead of round 18, mate?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously, Heaney and Sexton are the outs for me. So, I mean, look, that gives me quite a lot of options, I guess, because for me, I just don't think I can hold Heaney. I mean, what's the consensus now? I guess now that we know that Sexton's out, I mean, there was a lot of people talking about holding the Heaney. Well, I guess they might have to, right? They might still have to hold a Heaney because they've got a Gawn and a Sexton, so they're probably making those trades, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know if you dropped out for a second, or if that was me, but no, with Caldwell, sorry, not Caldwell, with Heaney, I think you made a good point on Tuesday night that if you don't have Gawn or you don't have a few of these other guys and you've got all your rookies off field, I think the attacking move is to trade. If you've got no issues whatsoever, you could trade and make those points up, because knowing that people are going to be fielding a rookie at that spot, and getting, let's say, Dowling or Richards or something, that gets a 60, and they're fine with that. If you go Heaney to a Dylan Moore and he pops a 110, you've all of a sudden gained 50 points potentially on what most people have got in that position. So, I'd sort of looking at that. If you've got no issues, I would be trading. But so is that so? You're sitting there as well?
Yeah. Look, I mean, look, for me, it's pretty easy, right? Two players out, 2 players in. And then Sexton. I mean, obviously, he's still priced pretty well, so I mean, it gives me pretty much the pick of the bunch. So I mean, I think my first pick is probably going to be a Dylan Moore, even though.
Yep.
If I only was bringing in one forward, I might not have actually gone him. But then I'm now trying to consider my next best option, whether it's a Brian Myers or a Mason Wood or a
Matt Kennedy,
or a Luke Jackson, basically. So
who would you be if you had to pick someone outside of Dylan Moore? Who would you pick? Because I do
have to pick someone outside of Dylan Moore. So
So who are you going at the moment?
Well, I mean. I'm probably going Dylan Moore and Matt Kennedy, to be honest.
Yeah. So you're not too concerned with Matt Kennedy with the role shifting or potential substitutions or anything like that. You're fine picking him.
Well, look, I guess for me it's a 1 week play, right? Because maybe not. Maybe I'll be upgrading Simpkin back to Heaney next week. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm trying to figure out. I don't have a good answer for you right now, Bails. This is what I'm trying to figure out. And look, I'm curious, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think Dylan Moore's the guy that, for those people that don't have Dylan Moore, he's the guy I'd be picking, I think. I think he's the guy that's probably the most safe to finish top 5 in the forwards. I think he's the 5th forward now. I think maybe Fish is probably 6, or a Mason Wood or someone like that's just outside. I think if you can't get, I know a few people can't get a Dylan Moore this week, so I'll talk about my trade shortly in terms of what I'll be doing. But Mason Wood's the one that interests me a bit, because I think the only flag for me is the fact that like Max King's out for the year and Caminiti's out for a bit, so he might have to play a bit more deep forward. But he's averaging over 90 if you remove that injured 11 that he got early in the year. So he would be a top 6 forward based on average, but because of that flag, I'm not sure I could go there just with that flag. So I would probably go for a Matt Kennedy next, just because he's got that ceiling. But then I don't mind. It's funny, all the 3 you just said then, I don't mind, because I don't mind a Grind Myers either, because he's got a good run. But could you really trade into someone that just scored a 67 last week? That's probably my only sort of question. So I think Matt Kenny's probably the guy with Bulldogs and North the next 2. And worst case, if he drops a 50 or a 60, most forwards are doing that weekly anyway. So I think Kennedy's probably the pick if you can't get up to Dylan Moore for mine.
Yeah, I mean, the only other option is probably like a Grind Myers, a Luke Jackson, but I don't like Luke Jackson just because he's a 1 week player. I think there's just too much risk there.
Yeah, well, we've seen, like, even this week with Carnage, that, like, for example, like me with Will Power, I can't trade Will Power now because of all the Carnage, which if he drops another stinker like he did last week against Port, which I could easily see happening, that's going to cost me. And again, that Powell over Stewart call for me is going to cost me again. So, just those 1 week plays I'm not a fan of. You want guys, and again, that's probably a learning I'll take into next year, right? Is that if I had my time again, thinking about Stewart v Powell, short-term play, I should be going, who am I going to be happy to be stuck with for longer, Stewart or Powell? It was Stewart every day of the week, but it is what it is. So those forwards there's going to be interesting. But then I was just talking about the rucks just before you jumped on. Obviously, Gawn being obviously you didn't have to worry about that, which is good. Finally, as a Gawn non-owner all year, that's probably a good week that you can sort of sit back and relax. If you didn't have any of the rucks, how would you be ranking Tristan Cherry, Tim English, Rowan Marshall, Toby Nankervis, and I'm forgetting one other. Who am I forgetting? Brodie Grundy. How would you rank those 5 rucks in terms of who you'd bring in?
Yeah, so, this is a little bit like the other night, right? Disclaimer, I haven't done a lot of research because this is not an issue for me. So look, at that's why I don't really want to rank them. So maybe why don't we talk this through? Why don't we come up with a rank that we agree on, right, Bails? Because otherwise we're going to be misinforming people, right? So, I mean, I tend to think that English is the number 1.
Yeah. Yeah. So why are you putting? Why do you think I'm not? Why do you think English is the number one option?
I think it's mainly to do with his run. Now, once again, I can't back it up with any particular stats. I was listening to Jaden talk about the rucks this week on coaches panel as well, and I know he was feeling pretty positive about English as well. So this is not really my opinion. I'm just spouting something I've heard. And like I said, I haven't really thought about this, but what do you think? What are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah. So, well, the fact that
What did you say?
Well, yeah. Jaden saying that English is positive. That's good because I know that Jaden earlier in the year was a bit down on English because of the stoppage point numbers, where clearly those have taken a bit of an increase with the Dogs getting their full midfield back and them sort of getting on a little bit more of a roll. I know they weren't very good against Port last week, but I still lean to Tristan Cherry as my number one. Just because his floor is high because of his tackle numbers. He's had 30 hit-outs in every game except against Gawn and Wits and then round one with a low stoppage game. So he's getting 30 hit-outs and 5 tackles a game as like a baseline to start off a game, which is really good. I guess the only negative with Cherry is that he's the most highly owned, right? He's owned by a big portion of the top 10,000 coaches. So for people that are chasing, which is a lot of people except for probably the top 100 or whatever, that you're probably wanting to go someone else. So that's why I've probably got English as my number 2 and I could definitely see why people would go English over Cherry because he's more unique and he's got the ceiling, whereas Cherry's probably capped at, I know that he's got the tackles and that, but he's probably capped almost at 130 because he hasn't had any scores, I don't believe, over 130 this year. So
one of the big things that Jaden talked about was Cherry being really consistent in terms of his stoppage points. He basically earns around about 80 points a game from stoppage points, and he's very consistent at that. So it means he's got a really good floor, whereas English is kind of got a bit of a different makeup, although he has started to increase his points through stoppages over the past, I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but let's call it a month to 6 weeks of footy. I mean, I'm looking at the runs here. I mean, English has got Carnage Geelong, which are 2 green matchups. Cherry's
obviously he's got the dual ruck this week, English, but I still think he'll be fine anyway.
Well, Sydney is a really tough matchup for Rucks. So that's what Cherry's moving into this week. So I don't know whether it's got something to do with that. But then I'd probably rank Gorney pretty low, obviously with his injury. And like I said, I thought he was kind of coming off the boil there a bit anyway. Nank, I haven't looked at all. I know he's going pretty well, but I don't know where he would sit.
I know that Mitch is both those boys are Richmond fans, Mitch and Luke, and they were nowhere near as bullish on Nank as what some other people are. They clearly had him at the bottom, which was interesting. Obviously, them being Richmond fans, they said that there's probably a bit of injury risk with him because he's had a few injuries in the past, and to Richmond play like someone like Samson Ryan more in the ruck towards the end of the year just to get games in him. I don't know. Yeah, as a real pod play, I don't mind him, but I probably do have. I guess there's the proven aspect of like a Tim English, and even a Ryan Marshall over him. I'd almost rather those guys. I think I've got. Would you have Marshall at 3? Is that where you'd probably rank him? Would you have him behind Cherry and English?
Yeah. The concern obviously with Marshall is the role a bit, whether he starts playing a bit more forward, or whether we see Dum come back in the side there. So, I guess. I don't know. Does it matter if they're outside the top 2?
No, you dropped out for like 2 cents. I must have just connected to Wi-Fi because I just arrived at the house. But I think that once you get the top 2 rucks, obviously you don't need more, right? So I think that. Yeah, I think it's one of Cherry or English for most people. I think are the 2 because not many people have only got one of them. So I think you're going one of those 2, and that's it. Obviously, Marshall's got the ceiling, which is the positive with him. So that's obviously something to look at there. We do have 3 super chats though, so we'll just quickly answer these as well. So Sam's got the first one. So he says, McKercher with no Fisher, Treloar, Dacos, or Walsh for Sexton. So Sexton's going. Are you saving cash and going McKercher, or are you just going up to the top and getting one of Treloar, Dacos, or Walsh? Because for me, I'm going one of those 3.
Trelaw, Dacos, or Walsh. Watch the tag on Dacos this week. Trelaw. I like that. I like the sound of Trelaw.
I like Trelaw.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at what their run looks like.
I know Trelaw's got obviously
Carlton,
this
Geelong,
week.
Sydney, Melbourne. Carlton, Geelong, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, North. Yeah, you just got to watch the tag, obviously, with Dacos. Sorry, who was the other one as well? We were talking...
Walsh.
Oh, and Walsh.
Which I wouldn't be looking at Walsh for next 3 weeks. He's got some tough matchups and some tags coming.
North and Port. Yeah. So that's Trelaw.
Yeah, Trelaw for me. You're going to need Dacos, but I think it's locked in. He's getting tagged tonight. Like, I know Geelong don't always run a tag and they're good for mids. I think a Crisp could go quite well tonight, but it's guys like a Dacos where Chris Scott's
tonight, Bails?
It's
a tough one to tip, isn't it?
I know. I think I've gone Geelong just because of the amount of injuries that Collingwood have. Like they've got a good 5 to 10 of their team from last year that are out. So I think I'll go for Geelong. And going at that, Geelong are going to know, okay, we need to stop Dacos in the midfield. Let's just put an O'Connor or a Mullen or a Blitzarves or Atkins or whoever. We'll just put one of those guys. I don't even know if O'Connor's playing, but we'll just put one of those guys on him. Because Geelong tag when there's an obvious tag guy, but when they go head to head, they don't normally tag. Like they tagged Merritt, I think, a couple of weeks ago. I think Atkins went to him after half time and kept him really quiet. I could see Atkins running with Dacos tonight. So yeah, I wouldn't look at Dacos this week. I'd be going for Troy as well. Then the other two super chats we've got here is from Jared. So thanks, mate. He said, "Hey fellas, holding Heaney and only issue Sexton. What do you think about Stewart and Humphreys, then loop between Harrison and Dowling for F6, or go Stewart and Philippou for cover for 1 week?" So, obviously, what are your thoughts on getting a rookie and looping or getting a Philippou? What are your thoughts about paying the extra bit of money to get a Philippou?
I mean, I don't like paying the extra money, but I do like the look of a Philippou. And he's going to have to play him on field, right?
Yeah.
So who else was he looping?
So in the first one, he was looping a Harrison and Dowling for F6. Or you get a Philippou for cover instead. So, but you might still be able to loop with one. Oh, actually, no, but you can't because Dowling and Philippou play at the same time, right? Playing the same game. So you can probably only loop a Harrison tonight. So I think I'd feel much safer with a Philippou than a rookie. Like he's playing midfield. If he drops another 100, people are going to be almost bringing him in next week as an F7.
As a forward option,
he's so cheap.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't mind it. If you get on people talk about this all the time. Get on a week before the competition does. If he drops another 100, he's going to be one of the most traded in players next week because people are going to go, "Oh, here's our ticket to an extra forward to loop between." So yeah, for me, I'd prefer to pay that extra money and get him and have him as an F6 this week. So if he drops 100 and the rookies drop 60, you're gaining 40 points. But if he drops a 60, you're not losing anything, right? So yeah, I like that one. And then Jared's also sent another super chat. So he was just saying, was this the same? I believe this is the same one, actually. Yeah. He was saying, get Philippou for F6 and then he'll be F7 next week. Yeah, we both like that, Jared. Both like that play there. Cool. All right. Well, I'll just quickly talk about captains as well. So my top 10 captains for the week, I'll do top 5, but I've got number 1, I've got Josh Dunkley as my favourite captain against West Coast. Hasn't played West Coast while being at Brisbane, but good matchup over at Optus. Good captain, sort of fullback option in the final game of the round and won't get tagged. I think Jinby will go to a Lockie Neal, so Dunkley will be able to get all the +6s and tackles and everything that he gets. Number 2, I have changed just because hearing about the weather in Melbourne apparently on a Sunday. So I've actually moved Errol Goulden up to number 2. So people watch my captain video, he was at 3. I've moved him up 1 spot. I just like the matchup against North. Sydney have lost 2 in a row. No Heaney. Might even get some extra CBAs for Errol. There's no tag, I don't think, because Phillips obviously isn't there. So if anyone was slightly worried about that, I think Goulden's going to go big there. So I got him at 2. I've also moved Tom Green up an extra spot as well, up to number 3 against Richmond. If it is wet, I could see a lot of tackles going to him, and I think he'll get plenty of the ball. So he would be my number 3 option. I do then have now I've almost forgotten who my number bloody 3 was. Give me a sec. Now I've got to get my bloody rankings up. My number My number 3 pick was... Yes, it was, so it's Dunkley, Goulden, Green. Okay, yes. So then number 4, would be... there I've got Whitfield. He would be higher if it wasn't for the wet potential. Just with the Richmond matchup, we saw what Newman did to them a couple of weeks ago. Even Luke Ryan and Jordan Clark got essentially hundreds or near hundreds last week when it was wet. So I still like Whitfield at 4. And then I've got Zach Merritt at number 5. Just that potential tag is the only worry for me why I've got him a bit lower. Then sort of rounding out the other guys I like, I not many people are going to get on board with this. I like Jordan Dawson this week. He's a VC option only, I think, this week, but St Kilda, no Winhager, there'll be no tag, no Rankin. Dawson has got a very good record at Adelaide Oval, and he normally bounces back after having a poor one when they're back at home. So I've got him there. I like Brayshaw. I think he's gone over 130 in 3 of his last 4 against Hawthorn. So I like him. There's a couple of others there as well, but they're probably the 2 smoky ones. So who are you looking, Tim, this week as your VC and captain?
Yeah, I'm actually a bit torn. I mean, firstly, Zach Merritt, he would have been probably a good option for me, but I am a little concerned about that tag. But I guess that could probably make a good VC option. But then pretty much that leaves me rolling into like a Tom Green or a Lockie Whitfield. And I mean, Lockie Whitfield, I'd like to go there, but geez, he could drop a 160, but he could also drop a 60, So yeah, and I don't, I mean, I've got a Dane Zorko in that last game if I want to try and put a VC on a GWS player, but I don't have a Josh Dunkley, so yeah, I'm not 100% sure. What about you, mate? What are you gonna do?
Oh, no, sorry, there we go. My mic just wasn't connected then. So I'm going, I'll follow my rankings this week. I'll go and Errol Goulden VC on the Saturday, first game Saturday. I just think that he's a guy that surely doesn't have 3 bad ones in a row. I can't imagine that. So I've got him as my VC, and then my captain, I'll be running a Josh Dunkley in the final game. I have thought about going a Jordan Dawson VC as someone unique because no one's going to go in VC against the Saints. But I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are on the Dawson VC shout, but I'm just a bit nervous with him.
Mate, I don't have Jordan Dawson. I haven't looked at it this week. So yeah, no idea.
Yeah, fair enough. If you just want to talk through one thing, I'll just be 2 seconds. Mike will just be on mute. So if you want to chat about anything with the listeners, I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Well, why don't we just answer some questions, right? Otherwise, I've got to sit here and make shit up. Hawk Tour. We got a user on here. Hawk Tour. Toe the company line with Bails captains Timmy. I might as well. So can't loop. This is from Baden. Can't loop. Do we go with Dowling, Revel, or Falstrip in the forward line? Dowling, Revel, or Falstrip in the forward line? Oh, let's have a look at that, right? So, I really wish we had bloody Bails on. God knows what he was doing. Hang on, I've got a Dowling. Who's he playing this week? All right, Saints. Falstrip. This is probably not a great question for me. Look, I'm going to save this one for Bails when we come back so we can look into it. I'm going to VC Cripps and Neil is C at the moment. That's from Karen. Do West Coast have a tagger? Yeah, they have been doing a little bit of tagging, but do we think they're going to go to a tag on Neil? Yeah, you probably think they would do some attention there. Once again, I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head who would be the tagger, and they're not taggers that you need to be too worried about. But the other thing I think you need to consider against West Coast as well is that while they're an easy matchup to play against, they don't actually give up a lot of ceiling scores. So, Karen, have a look at what maybe other options you've got for your captains there. Why fantasy do you have a gold Alex Peard card? Oh, Jesus, don't know what that is. Bailey. All right, we've got to play one and one emergency. Joe Richards, Manor, and Kruger. So, well, firstly, can you loop, right? You've got Manor playing tonight. Can you stick the E on him and see what he scores? And then, depending on what he scores, then make your mind up between the other 2 players. Joe Richards, he's a forward, and Kruger, I think he's a forward ruck, right? So, that's how I would have a look at it. Put the E on Manor tonight, and then figure. Oh, Joe, hang on, that's right, Joe. Oh, Joe Richards is Collingwood, and so is Kruger Collingwood. Okay, it's a tough question. Let's have a look. Joe Richards. I like the Joe Richards scoring capacity. He probably, although he didn't score very well last week, though, didn't he? Okay, and then we've got Manor. I think it's got to be Manor. It's got to be Manor. Bales, what do you think? Thank God you're back for crying out loud. Doing it solo is pretty fucking hard, eh?
I walked into sister's house. There's a few dogs, and I didn't want Pete the dog's barking and whatever. So
Sure.
sister and that just about to leave. So was it? But Manor. Who was it between Manor and who?
Joe Richards, Manor, and Kruger. Who do you play on field? And who do you?
Oh, you're backing Manor, right? He's got a 115 last week. He's got the ceiling. I think the other guys, Kruger. He got a 73 last week, but he could drop a 30 or a 40 tonight. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. Joe Richards is the only other one that sort of is good. If you could maybe somehow do Manor in the midfield and then Richards in the forward. But yeah, if you can't do that.
Right? Well, it's the same game.
You loop Manor in the forward line, in the midfield, and then you go Richards in the forward line. But I'm assuming the person probably can't do that, right? So I'd just be playing Manor.
And then emergency? Richards.
Richards emergency, unless he's the sub, which we'll know that very shortly. Then I'd be doing those other guys. So cool.
All right.
If you want,
you take it back over, mate. You take it back over, mate. Fucking hell, Jesus Christ! I think everyone's ears were bleeding. We're all waiting for you to come back, mate.
Oh, Rich was saying, "Well done, Tim." So there you go. So Ben was asking about Caldwell VC. What are your thoughts on a Caldwell VC over a Merritt?
Hell yeah. He's not going to get the tag, is he?
No, I don't think so. So
I don't mind that as an option at all.
Yeah, I don't mind either. Probably not a VC for me. He's probably a captain option. I think he's a safe guy, but I don't know if he's got the one. Like VCs this time of year, we're trying to chase the 130, 140 plus scores. I know he's done that in two of his last few, but I don't know. I sort of feel like he's probably going to go back to closer to 100 average than the 130 average that he's doing over the last 3 weeks, which is insane.
So let's talk about the tag with Merritt, right?
Yep. Yeah. So Neil. So obviously Neil Bullen's the guy that might go to him. It's interesting because Neil Bullen went to Dacos when they played and did a hard tag on him. But when they played Brisbane, they just allowed Lachie Neale to run around and do his thing. So I don't think it's a guarantee that he goes to him. So if we do get word that Neil Bullen is going to go to him pre-game, obviously you can just go over to Caldwell as a VC or captain or whatever. But there is a chance that they don't tag him.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it's a VC, I don't know. I still don't mind Caldwell, right? It's a throw up the stumps. If you're concerned about the tag, you can go to Caldwell. He's definitely not going to get the tag.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want a guy that's not going to get a tag, it's Caldwell, 100%. So, I don't mind it. Pietro Bonacina says, Nank and Merritt or English and Treloar?
English and Treloar, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, so it's a quite. I don't mind. I like Merritt, but I guess Nank is probably just the one. If you want to go a bit potty, well, then again.
Well, here's what I like about the tags. The tags are a thing. The tags are a thing. Tags have been causing havoc in our midfield for the last few weeks. Once Treloar, I know he got tagged a couple of weeks ago. But we really think that was one out of the box. It's probably not going to happen again.
The only one that could happen is Sydney if they don't decide to go to Bont and they go Treloar instead with Jordan. But that's about it.
Sure. But I just think that Treloar is a safer pick than Merritt. Still got a ceiling, and then English is a better pick than Nank.
Yeah, I think I agree. Starfire's dad said you survived, Tim.
Thanks. I survived. Jesus, this solo pod stuff is pretty hard. Plus, I've done bugger all research this week as well because I've just been working my heart off.
Yeah. Maltese got a super chat, so thanks, mate. He said Myers or Manor, who to field. You got to back Myers, don't you?
Oh, Myers or Manor? You got to be kidding, right?
You got to be backing Myers, sure. Yeah. I know Manor did well.
You backed the guy that you paid $800,000 for.
Yeah, I agree. You got to back him in. Actually, I didn't say my trades before as well. Obviously, when I jumped off, did you say your trades before?
Did I say my trades before? Yeah,
Yes.
Matt Kennedy and Dylan Moore for Sexton and Heaney.
Yeah, cool. So obviously with Sexton out for me, I've got to go him out, and I'm going him up to Dylan Moore, and I can't quite get Cherry, which means I'll go Tim English for him instead. So because I was actually going to ask you, would you rather English and Dylan Moore, or would you rather Cherry and Matt Kennedy? And I think you'd probably say English and Moore. I imagine.
So, yeah.
I think you get English for a few. Like I could always trade English out if I really wanted to. I'd probably need to make up ground, so it's probably no point going a Cherry if I want to try and get. So I'm 400 points down from the top 100. So if I was ever going to make top 100, I've got to try a few different things. And English is a decent enough pod to, I guess, jump on. So I'll probably go there. And Dylan Moore's the safest guy that I don't have as a forward. So I think I'll go with him there. Ben Hayes said, Bails, are you sick? No, not sick. No, just obviously, as I said, just had to drive, and I've got the Apple headphones. I don't have my normal mic and stuff at the moment. I'll be doing the watch long after with everything set up, though. It was just driving's a bit hard to set up a proper mic and a webcam and everything. It's, yeah. So, Cade's got this question. So, thoughts on Gawn to Cherry and Sexton to Moore, but having to field a rookie, being one of Dowling or Tholstrup. Also, which rookie do you field out of those, and would you go English over Cherry? So, firstly, I think we'll tick those trades off because they're pretty much the exact same trades I'm going. Would you'd be going English over Cherry?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
same reason as you just kind of said. I think a lot of people got Cherry. I think English is just as good an option. You might as well go the point of difference.
Yeah. And then he said, obviously, which rookie would you field out of Dowling and Tholstrup? For me, it's Dowling, isn't it?
Not sure, mate. Yeah, much. Why?
He's got Saints. Tholstrup's got the Bombers. So
yeah, okay, yeah.
I think you go Dowling for that one. And yeah, I wouldn't be too upset, I guess, Cade, because I think 95% of the comp are going to be playing a rookie in the full line this week with all the carnage that's been happening.
It's my week, baby. I'm not running no rookie.
Sam, sorry, not Sam. Henry has asked this question about Sam Draper. He says this every stream, and always I don't normally answer it because I know he's just taken the mickey. But he said, "Bars, this is Sam Draper time. We'd gone out. Is Sam Draper a 1 week? If people are doing a 1 week play, Tim, at 539k, Sam Draper ruck forward, no Melbourne ruck, no Goldstein." If that's the best you could get to, would you go Draper or would you be saving the 100k and be getting a Philippou instead?
I think I would go the Philippou instead.
Yeah, I agree.
I like saving the money, and I think he's got a better role.
I know that, Henry, I know you're keen on a Sam Draper, but I would be going the other. I'd just be going Philippou because you don't have Philippou. I'd be very, very surprised if you did. So, yeah, I'd be going that direction. A few people are saying... Tim, so Ben Hayes is saying, Tim, you're kissed. I don't think so. I think Tim's had a rough one. Tim's had a rough year. I think it's a bit like Luke. People saying Luke got kissed last week. I think it's about time that a bit of luck went Tim your way and obviously Luke's way as well. So
right.
Yeah. What do we got here? Eskimo Brother 77 streaming on YouTube without cameras on is just wrong.
Nah, do you know Sorry, what? Mate. He's right. He's right. I should put my camera on. There you go.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Oh, I'm joining on the laptop, so you might be able to see my mug for a couple of minutes before we wrap up, because I know Tim's got to head off in just under 10 minutes. So we'll go a couple more questions here. Bailey Miller saying, what are your thoughts on Nank as a 2 to 3 week play and then going back to another ruck? And he said going back to Gawn, but if you went to another ruck, could you go Nank for a 2 to 3 week play and then go to another ruck, or would you just be going, get the ruck now and just get it sorted? Because I'm probably leaning that way.
As someone who traded out Cherry and then traded out Grundy, only to trade Grundy back in and then eventually trade up to English, I would suggest you waste as little trades in the ruck line as possible and just go for either a cherry or an English, and then stop messing around and look at what you can do in other areas.
Yeah, I would agree.
The biggest thing is I think we just don't see a huge the biggest thing we haven't seen all year is not a massive differential amongst the ranks. So I just don't think that's going to be the place where you're going to make any competition winning moves. I think you're better off just locking something in and trying to pick the runs with other positions.
Yeah, I think I agree as well. I'm just switching over onto the laptop now, so give me a sec. So, Tim, can you hear me through here?
Yep, got ya.
Yeah, cool.
Good question here. Rids asked, why no love for Nank Bails? So walk us through it, Bails.
I guess it's not any love for Nank. It's just I don't know. It's a tough one. I guess probably the.
So you were talking before about we're a little uncertain about what might happen at Richmond as we get towards the end of the year, but I guess he's only talking about a 3 or 4 week play. Let's have a look. What is that run that he's got? Richmond's got hang on, that's on.
I know they got the Giants this week, which is obviously a good matchup.
AWST, good matchups. Port Adelaide and Collingwood. 3 good matchups in a row before he hits Cherry.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So that's why I don't mind the Cherry pick as a potentially a 2-3 play where you keep him for the rest of the year. But
this is Nank.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, not Cherry. Yeah, I meant Nank. I guess the reason that I'd prefer English is a bit like the Powell and Stewart pick for me. Is that I feel safer picking an English because we've seen him do it for a few seasons, and I know Nank has done it, but I don't know. I feel like there could be more change. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like they could bring in a Samson Ryan and play more ruck in the back part of the year, and just give Nank a bit of a help just for the last bit, because Richmond don't need to play Nank 90% of the game in the ruck. They don't need to. I guess whereas English is, if Bulldogs going to make finals, they need English performing like he did last year. So that's sort of where I'm saying. But I don't mind Nank. I know a few people, good coaches, are keen on Nank as a pick. I don't mind. I guess I just feel that.
I don't think we. Yeah. So I think what you're saying is you're not going to talk anyone out of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm probably just not going there myself. And I guess the other thing is that if Mitch and Luke, who are also Richmond fans, I know Ridge is a Richmond fan as well, and he seems keen on Nank, but then you've sort of got Mitch and Luke aren't as keen. So it's funny that's sort of what I mean. If everyone was saying if both them were on board and Ridge's on board, I'd probably be keen because there's 3 Richmond fans that are keen on him as an option. But it's sort of like a few people are keen, a few people aren't. So that's
Look, we do hear coaches talk about you want to be in the teams that are fighting for that top 8, right? Rather than teams that are kind of done and dusted because they're not fighting for anything. They've got no motivation. There's all sorts of things that could get moved around and changed. So even though it's only a 3-week play, but I mean, I guess that's all the risk that's going into this, right? It's a 3-week play. You don't know what's going to happen in that 3-week play. Maybe you can get off with him in 3 weeks. Maybe you can't get off with him in 3 weeks. Maybe Richmond changes a few things up. So it's not that you can, there's no reason to talk them out of it, but they're the risks that you're buying into.
Yeah, exactly. I thought I would just plug this as well. I don't know why this has popped back up. Just thought I would plug this. So obviously Jordox mentioned it the other night about with the subs and stuff. So with that, make sure you go and follow AFL. The account name is AFL Subs and Late Changes. I just literally got notification right then about who the subs are. So make sure you guys go follow that. Obviously, it might not, as Jork said, it might not matter next year because there might not be subs, right? But this year it's good for it. So I just got notification then. So make sure you go and follow. I think it is just AFL Subs on Twitter as the handle. But just AFL Subs Late Changes. The subs just came in now, and I got notification for it. So make sure you turn notifications on. Reef McInnes and Ollie Henry are the subs, which is good for a lot of people that have got a Harvey Harrison, a Joe Richards, even a Lawson Humphreys for people if they were looping him as well. it's good for those guys because they're not obviously sub. So yeah, you can loop those guys tonight, which is good. So yeah, make sure you guys follow that. Obviously, good work from Jordox and I believe it's Liam and Eloise are the other two that have organised it. So shout out to those three. So Tim, do you have to head off now?
I'm going to go in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Is there any sort of last minute things you wanted
to?
to?
We talk captain. Oh no, we talk captains. Any last minute things I want to talk about before I go? No, nothing I can think of off the top of my head. We've done the captains. We talked trades. We've only got a couple of sort of main options that we're dealing with, or main issues that we're dealing with this weekend because of the carnage. No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Let's just fingers crossed. Let's hope this weekend. Let's hope I am kissed, and I can have a good week and jump, from my 6,500 rank into a reasonably decent rank for the end of the year.
Yeah. Who have you got in the Content Creators Cup this week? Do you know?
I have got. Hang on a sec. I'm up against the Statesman.
Yeah, and I've got Harmy. So I've got a couple of pod members this week. So
yeah,
that'll be interesting to see how we go. Well, obviously the matchups for me, it's not a huge issue now because I've locked in a top 2 spot, which feels nice after the year I had in the Content Creators Cup last year. But
putting your feet up
obviously,
now, mate.
I'm just hoping because Mitch has actually got Roy this week. If Roy can beat him this week and then Nathan can do me a favour next week, I might be able to pick top spot if I can win my last couple of matchups. So that's, I guess, probably the one thing I'd be playing for, right? Top spot. But yeah, just a bit of fun. Hopefully Mitch doesn't win against Roy this week. Well, hopefully Mitch goes well and then Roy does better. Roy gets in the top 100 and beats Mitch, but then Mitch is back in the top 10 overall. That'd be good because then I'd be level 1 in with points. So we'll see how that all goes as well. Sam Diddles put a super chat in here as well saying about, the subs, McInnes and Henry. So thanks, mate, for the super chat. But yeah, beautiful. All right, Tim. I think we'll cut it there. Obviously, apologies for people if this wasn't the most normal pre-lockout chat that we've had or whatever. But we got to do what we got to do, I guess. So I'll be back in front of my camera and everything for our round review on the Sunday and everything like that. It was just obviously this one was just a bit. Life gets in the way, and you just got to do a few things. So, but yeah, Tim. Obviously, people that missed it before, what were your trades and what were your captain plans?
So Heaney out for Dylan Moore, Sexton out for Kennedy, and then I think I'm going an Isaac Heaney into not an Isaac Heaney, a Zach Merritt into a Tom Green. Yeah,
cool. And then for me, I'm going I've got to go Sexton out and go to Dylan Moore, and then because of Gorn out, I can't quite get Cherry, who was my original target, but I think I'm warming now even more to the English pick, so I'm going English as my ruck, and then my captain's Goulden VC into a Josh Dunkley captain on the Sunday. So yeah, beautiful. Alrighty, thank you everyone for tuning in. Obviously, thanks. Obviously, Tim. Where can the people find you?
Tim Guest, are you?
Beautiful. And Canfield tonight?
No, mate. No, I haven't made any plans to head down there tonight. I've never looked at Twitter this week, so I'm not even sure if anyone's heading down. So I'll have to have a look myself. Maybe I will if there is.
Yep. Yeah, fair enough. And you can find me at Bails DT across the socials. Obviously, if you guys got a question as well, then head over to Ask Me on Q, spelt qu.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. I'll be able to answer all your questions tonight. So if they regarding trades, draft, VCCs, anything like that don't involve the players tonight, I'll be able to get to those questions tonight and answer them for you overnight. So make sure you go and hit that up there as well. And obviously, if you guys aren't doing anything after this, in about 40 minutes' time, I'll be doing a watch along for the Collingwood and Geelong game. So if you guys got more questions, I can answer more there. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the game tonight. Hopefully, Stuart doesn't go big on me after not having him. So we'll see how we go. But thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on Sunday night for our round review. We've got MJ jumping on this week, which will be good. So good to chat with MJ on Sunday night as well. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Good luck this week. Obviously, tough week. Hopefully, you guys go well and can escape the carnage. Hopefully, you can all score well. And hopefully, your rookie looping can go well and you can get a good score there. And if you are listening back to the pod, Apologies, as I said, for the audio. If it does come out a little bit funny, but if you are enjoying it over there, then make sure you leave us a 5-star rating review. That'd be very much appreciated. And if you are listening on YouTube, make sure you like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So thanks, guys. Have a good weekend. We'll catch you guys on Sunday night. See ya.
See ya.